So lovely to see you.
How are you?
I'm a bit panicking. I really took into practice what you said last time, that I'm trying to develop a healthy sense of self and to set boundaries. And I'm applying the completion process, and it's really wonderful. But I still feel very disconnected and really isolated. So this is the underlying issue I would like to really tap into.
You feel disconnected?
Yeah.
What
For
from?
example, I'm feeling this panic right now,
Okay.
and whenever I want to connect to people, even on one-on-one, this is the same feeling I feel.
Okay, sit with this panic for a minute. What I wanted you to just notice is that when she was feeling that emotion, the first instinct that she had was to try to push through it. Did you see that? Even though I'm feeling this terror, I'm going to talk anyways. Even though I'm feeling this terror, I'm going to... See, there's a real distinction I want you to make. When you have an emotion arise, you can push through the emotion and kind of bulldoze it. It's almost like if you're in one of those giant tractors. You're like, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm going for it anyway, right? That is a self-abuse. What we need to be doing instead is to move forward with the fear. It's a totally different energy. Instead of taking a tractor and bulldozing through an emotion, it's a lot like becoming a, let's say, transcendental self or a parent, coming in around an emotion, picking it up and saying, you know what, you emotion don't need to worry about this right now. I'll worry about this right now, and I'm going to take you with me. Do you see that? It's getting better.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so now we can talk about what your issue is.
Whenever I would like to connect to people, even just to talk or to get to know them, I feel the same feeling. And I'm also producing all those physical symptoms. I feel like in a fight or flight mode. Something really keeps me back, and I feel a really deep fear. And I
Okay, let's explore it. So we've got this is social phobia. Ready?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so pretending to connect to me or anyone. I mean, look at the audience. This is even better. Okay, thinking about connecting to the audience. I want you to feel that feeling inside you.
The feeling of connection.
Terror.
The terror.
Not the feeling of connection. You can't touch that. See? Fear blocks connection. So if you're trying to find connection when you've got that terror going on, good luck. If you figure out a way, you should be teaching it, not me. Do you feel the terror? Okay, where does the terror live in your body?
Mostly in my chest and stomach, also my throat, and even in my hands and
Okay, good. You remember how I was talking to you about this, looking inside for the answers, right? So here we have a person, and I want you to see yourselves in this. Here we have a person who stepped up on stage and said, I don't know what to do, I don't know what is going on here. I'm basically in a state of confusion and lack of self-awareness about this thing that's going on within me. I'm literally going to show you how easy it is to turn your focus inside and figure it out. You ready? Okay, so you said it lives in your chest and in your throat and in your stomach. I want you to close your eyes. What color is it? This first process is the process of familiarizing yourself with something. She's observing. She's not trying to do anything with it. She's just like, wow, I got to get really clear about what this is. And how do we do that? We use our senses. We're used to using our senses with the external world. I can see that this person is this way. I can hear that they're this way. We have to start doing that on the inside. So what if I told you you could see and hear and taste? Every sense, basically, can be used on the internal world. So I'm going to ask her, tapping into that emotion, that sensation in your chest, what color is it? What does it sound like? What texture does it have? Is it moving? Right? What do you find?
It's color of metal.
Color of metal?
Yeah.
Nice. What kind of metal?
Like a plain surface with edges.
What color?
It's a shiny.
Is it silver or is it gold?
Silver.
Silver, okay. No movement?
No, absolutely not.
Does it have a sound?
I can't hear it.
Does it have a taste? No, okay. So see what we just discovered about it, just then? Yet again, I want you to imagine that going into your internal world is like going into a completely uncharted territory, diving into waters nobody has explored before. So you're doing the same thing with these sensations and these aspects of yourself that you would be doing if you were deep sea diving in somewhere that nobody had ever found before. If you found a rock down there in the ocean, you'd be like, whoa, you'd knock on it, you'd probably touch it, you put your ear against it, you're just completely exploring it. That's the process of self-awareness. And when it comes to the process of self-awareness, any question is game. You'll find yourself, when you're in the process also, compelled to ask certain questions. So, keeping your eyes closed and staying with the sensation, I want you to ask, how do you feel about this sensation?
I feel totally numb. How do I feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to push it away.
I want to push it away. That's perfect. Okay, so I want you to start to have a discourse with this metallic thing, okay? Why is it here? Do you see the emotion? This is what happens when you start to actually get in touch with these aspects of yourself that have never been touched by presence before. By presence, I mean the light of consciousness. When you're focused at your internal world, you're actually taking the light of consciousness and diving within the self. It's kind of like taking a flashlight down there. And when something has been in the dark for years upon years and you expose it to the light, there's a natural release of energy. It's kind of like when you open a closet door and it's like the dust goes, right? That's the emotion you're seeing. So asking the object to reply to you, why are you here, object?
To keep me safe.
To keep me safe. See, isn't this interesting? Without this kind of exploration, we would have assumed that this was a negative thing. It doesn't feel good, after all. And especially when I look at it, it's this giant metal object which is just numb, and I want to push it away. And then you ask it a question, and it says something like, I'm here to keep you safe. Ooh, that's a surprise. Would never have figured that out unless you did this internal dive. Okay, so the next natural question, what is it trying to keep you safe from?
from pain.
Pain caused by who?
And what came up is my mother.
Well, that's good. So she asked her the question, what are you trying to keep me safe from? It says safe from pain. Pain caused by who? Pain caused by mom. So we already know a hell of a lot about this feeling that's present within ourselves. It's been there to protect us from mom. What's mom doing?
Punishing me for stuff I haven't done, or I don't understand.
Okay, so that tells me a lot. Do you see, just knowing that, being on the outside, that tells me a hell of a lot about her.
And also the withdrawal of her love.
I'm going to explain this for a minute, and you can let this aspect of you listen and see if there's any change in it, okay? Because a lot of times when we mirror, meaning that we just reflect back what we have heard from the internal world, even that creates some loosening or some letting up in our internal structures. It makes perfect sense to me how if you could not understand how you created that kind of punishment, that you would be terrified of any kind of connection with any person because you don't get how. Does that make sense? So the average person has a set, rigid way of understanding what actions cause punishment and which actions cause reward. So, I mean, I'll just tap into this. Okay, so look at some of the people in the audience, right? Most of their personalities are formed because they know what's going to get a yay and what's going to get a mm-mm. Literally, that's what forms personality, right? And so they don't have an issue interacting with people, really, a lot of them, because they know what's going to be yay and what's going to be mm-mm. But if you don't know that because you have an unpredictable parent, it's terror all the time. How many of you have ever met like a dog or a cat that's super unpredictable? Okay, we all know that there are those bitch cats in the world, right? That cat that it's like gamble. One day you might touch it and it might lick you, the next day you may touch it and it will bite the shit out of your hand, right? That's what it's like with some parents, because you're at the mercy of their mood. It's not about what you do or don't do. It's where they are emotionally. So if you can't figure that out, there's no pattern. Does that make sense? The mind has to understand patterns. That's how it stays safe. It goes, snake, bad idea, going the other way, right? But if mom is the snake, you see, sometimes it's nice and sometimes it bites you and you can't figure out what the variables are, you end up frozen. That's why you're like this with people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So, when I just mirrored that for you, what happened to your emotion?
I feel a big relief.
Why? This is what awareness does. This is why, like, literally I can't stress this enough, you guys. Awareness is everything. It is literally everything. Half of what you're trying to fix doesn't really need to be fixed. It just needs to have awareness cast upon it. I am aware now that this is the feeling that's coming up in front of people, is that terror of not being able to figure out a pattern of how I can react so as to get the reaction that I want. You are a very awesome person because you're not good at manipulation. There's a benefit, right? There's a benefit to everything and a detriment to everything. The detriment is she's frozen, right? The benefit is this is not a manipulator. Why? Because she couldn't. We figure out how to manipulate when we've got predictable people around us. If I do this, she acts in this way, then I'm going to do that. That's manipulation. If you didn't have somebody in your life like that, you're not manipulative. So you're actually much closer to figuring out your authentic self and really expressing your needs directly instead of in a roundabout way. Make sense? So I don't want you to be telling yourself the story that this is all negative.
Yeah, probably I was telling that.
Of course you were, yeah. There is no problem with the fact that you are like this right now. We would expect this. I mean, I don't want you to feel in pain when you're around other people, but I want you to understand that that pain, it's not abstract, right? Did you see how when we don't have awareness of something, it's abstract. You're like, I have no idea why I'm having this reaction. I get around people and it's like, and I don't get it. That's what's killing us, right? Is that we don't get it.
Yeah.
So now when you go to connect with people and you feel that terror, you can remind yourself, I know this. It's that I'm trying to figure out a pattern here. How I can act so I can get this person to like me instead of punish me. And I still have that shadow where I'm convinced I can't figure it out. And that's what the terror is.
Yeah. So the key is in acceptance?
Well, acceptance is the first step, but the second step you can get even more in touch with it by doing things like this. Like, let's say you were going to connect with me. When you feel that come up in you, you're like, I'm afraid that I don't know how to act right now so as to make you feel good, as opposed to lose the relationship or some negative thing that I want. You can actually pose the question to me. What do you really want in a friend? What would make you turn against me? You got to know the parameters. And it's actually good for other people's awareness as well. We don't think about doing this in relationships, do we? Would you ever have that conversation with somebody? Probably should start. But most of us don't. We don't go, hey friend, it's nice to meet you. Okay, so here's the thing. I have a lot of people turn against me. What could I do to make you turn against me?
I can't think of anything.
Think about it. I don't need you to answer it now, but I'm sort of doing a demonstration. I'm demonstrating to you how you can have a more authentic conversation so you can figure out the pattern.
Yeah. I'm just afraid that people will not receive my open.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping that you're hanging around with some people who will understand that you're in this space, but the average Joe is going to be like, why are you asking me that? That's not obvious. But, yeah, I want you to have more honest and authentic conversations. This goes for everyone here. If you're on the path of awakening, it's not an option, really, anymore. You gotta start having authentic relationships. You gotta start having those conversations where you're like, okay, instead of be manipulative, I'm going to directly ask for my needs to be met. Instead of wonder about your patterns, I'm going to directly ask you about them. Yeah. I need you to do that because your fear is that you can't figure out patterns. Social patterns. You understand that concept, right?
But could you please? I think I do.
Okay.
Just to be sure.
A social pattern is Mom has a special drawer, right? If I go in Mom's special drawer, Mom punishes me. That's a pattern.
Yeah.
Predictable, right? You know that if you get in Mom's drawer, you're going to get punished. Unpredictable is sometimes I go in the drawer and Mom never reacts to me. Sometimes I go in the drawer and she does. No pattern.
Oh, I guess it's...
You struggle with social patterns because you weren't exposed to them when you were young. And that's what the terror is when it comes to meeting with people. You get that? Feel it in your body right now. This is a good one, ready? You guys are all going to understand patterns really quick. Okay, if I say touch the clock. Touch the clock. Look how programmable people are. Can you believe this? I hope you're all seeing your childhood. Yeah. Okay, so that was the pattern. You recognize the pattern, so touch it. Grab it. You confused yet? See that what we're looking for is this is where you are. You're in that confusion, that terror of confusion. I don't know when she's going to smack my hand when I touch it or when she's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's worse. It's way worse. Because can you feel you're sort of locked up now? Locked up and confused, and now you're like, I just can't make any sense out of this. So that's why. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you just got to figure out the social patterns. That's it.
Okay. Yes. One more question. It's in connection with my relationship, and
Relationships. Oh gosh.
it's something which is really causing a lot of challenge. I have a really wonderful partner, and it's really, really deep.
Okay, so she's saying that she has a wonderful partner and it's really deep.
The connection.
I have to translate for you.
And he's been struggling with an emotional pain for a long time now, and it was so heavy that it took him to the edge of suicide almost.
Okay, so we got a partner who is taken to the edge of suicide because of an emotional issue.
Yeah. And I just wanted to ask your thoughts about it, how to explore that, what it can be or how I can support him so our relationship becomes, we can take it to another level. I'm confused, what is it exactly? I just know that he feels a lot of pain and I feel a lot of times rejected.
Okay, so she's feeling confusion about this relationship basically and how she can best support somebody who's in this space of suicide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how you can take the relationship to the next level.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe to help him to open.
I need your wrist. Wait, I do want that one. Yeah. For those of you who are curious, I'm looking into relationship patterns right now, I'm sorry. Okay, you both have yourselves in a pattern where whenever he gets destabilized, you are just sort of following him at the mercy of him. So the feeling is almost like you're kind of like a glob of air, no stabilizing effect. And so if he goes off kilter, you go off kilter immediately because you don't have a strong core yourself. So if you want to assist him, you develop a strong sense of self, a strong core, and then what will happen is you anchor and he'll start orbiting like that. So do you understand what that means practically though? When he starts getting really, really upset, what do you do?
In the past I withdrew, but now what I'm practicing is really to open myself up. I try to understand that he's in pain and to be available. And to be available and be loving as much as I can. Not to go into the rejection pattern.
Not going into a rejection pattern is a good choice, yes.
Yeah.
What do you love doing? Mm-hmm.
In general.
Yeah.
Cooking.
Okay, next time he goes into one of these patterns, start cooking. Yeah, because if you notice, next time you're cooking, when you're cooking, it's like you're squarely in your core. That's what I'm talking about, is you anchoring in to yourself as a strong being. And it will start to pull him into orbit.
Yeah.
So just for an experiment, just for fun. Next time that starts happening, start cooking. You can be present and cook at the same time and start cooking and watch what he does.